Hey everyone, my name is Whitney. I'm a registered nurse, and in today's video, we're going to talk about how I was able to live through my 15-month ABSN program without working. So let's just get straight to it. So first things first, an ABSN program is an accelerated Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. It's a program specifically designed for people who already have a bachelor's degree in another field, and now they want to get their bachelor's degree in nursing in an accelerated time frame. Typically, these programs can range anywhere from 12 to 18-ish months on average. But because you're fitting a whole entire nursing curriculum into such a short time frame, these programs can tend to be very rigorous, very time-consuming, and pretty much every single ABSN program I've come across has strongly recommended against working while in the program because it's pretty much impossible. So that brings in the question of how in the world do you keep a roof over your head and food on your plate while not working? So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I was able to do that through my program. And just a quick spoiler alert, it does involve a lot of debt. So let's just talk about it. So I actually did touch on this a little bit in my previous video about how I was able to afford my nursing program. I talked about how rather than requesting the exact amount of money I needed for my tuition and fees from my private student loan company, instead I requested a few $1,000s more than what I actually needed, so that once the private loan company paid my school took what they needed and they gave me the rest in the form of a refund check. And with that refund check, I budgeted it out and I lived off of that for the semester. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what that looked like and how I was able to keep that debt number as little as possible. Because again, this was not free money. This is a loan I signed up for, and that loan that will follow me to my very grave if I do not pay that back. So I was trying to be as efficient as possible with my living situation. And that started with number one, my biggest cost, which was housing. Now, the main problems I faced with housing was that one, I was out of state, so I wasn't able to just live with my parents for free, which is very clutch right now. And number two, I was in all places, Northern Virginia, right outside of DC, which is a super expensive area. And number three, I had to deal with my bouginess. I'm a person like, I can't just be living anywhere. I wasn't trying to live in like no Motel 6. I was trying to live in a decent space. But all of the one bedroom, one bathroom apartments that I was looking at in the area was anywhere from like $1,300, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 a month. There was literally nothing I could find that made sense financially, but also like wasn't something super run down that I would feel unsafe at. So with that, I had to get a little bit creative, and I actually, risk it to get the biscuit. I went on one of those like find a roommate Facebook groups, and I found these three girls. So the four of us actually met at the mall, got to know each other, and decided to go house hunting for a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom townhouse that was renting for $2,200 a month. And the way we split it up was the two people that had their own private bathrooms, we paid $600 a month, and the two that had to share a bathroom, they paid $500 a month. And then, of course, as far as utilities, we just split that up evenly. We only had to pay for electricity, Wi-Fi, and water. And that ended up being like $100-ish a month. So the budget for my housing with utilities included literally only ended up being about $725 a month, which was literally less than half of every other apartment option that I looked at. So that right there was honestly the hugest money-saving option that I made that I'm still so grateful for. And although initially I was kind of disappointed that I wasn't gonna have my own space, it was really worth it because of how much money I saved. Like, that would have been several $1,000s more in loans I would have taken out just for my housing. So outside of housing, which was my main number one expense, the other living expenses that I had to take care of was food, transportation, household goods, personal care, entertainment, and miscellaneous expenses. And the way I handled that was I literally created a budget outlining each of those expenses and allocating a certain amount of money for each of those categories. And one thing that really helped me do that very easily was actually the Every Dollar app by Dave Ramsey. It's a totally free app that you could download and utilize to create your budget, where you can set up your budget like month by month or pay period by pay period. And you can say like, okay, here I have $1,200 for this month. And then with that $1,200, it tracks how much money you have left as you're putting in each category. So for instance, for me, it would look like, okay, rent, $600. And it's like, okay, bet you have $600 left to categorize. And then it's like, okay, utilities, $125. And then you could say groceries, $200. And then as you're putting in each category, it's subtracting everything so you can see how much money you have left to work with. Once you have your budget set and you start going through that budget period, you can say, okay, cool, I spent $10 at Chick-fil-A, I spent $25 on gas, I spent $35 at the grocery store, and then you can see how much money is being subtracted from each category, and you can see how much money you have left. So for me, a lot of times, I'd be towards the end of my budget month, and I'm like, ooh, dang, I only got $15 left. I guess I'm just gonna have to get the small fry instead of the large fry. And it was really cool because rather than feeling super restricted with the budget, like some people think a budget might make you feel, it actually does the opposite effect, and it gives you freedom because it's like, oh, there's no guilt because you know exactly how much money you have available for each thing, which was awesome because it's like, rather than feeling like I have to penny pinch on every single thing, it's like I can look at my budget, see how much I have left, and make an educated decision. Like, so it was really super empowering to have a budget. And it made me feel like I could really just confidently navigate my way through life living on a small amount of money because it's like I was able to operate within a set of parameters. And honestly, by using that method, that's how I was able to make $18,000 last through 15 months. And for some people, it might be like, oh my gosh, that's so much money. How did you spend that much money in 15 months? But for other people, it might be like, oh my gosh, how did you spend only $18,000 in 15 months? So of course, it'll be different for everyone in each of their situations, especially depending on where you live and how much rent costs and all of that. So for me, my biggest advice for anyone going through an ABSN program and living off of a limited budget would be to, number one, figure out how to make your biggest living expense, which is usually rent, as small as possible. And then number two, to outline the rest of your living expenses into a budget and to stick to it as much as possible. And as far as rent goes though, there's actually a whole bunch of dope resources out there to really help you find an affordable living situation outside of just the 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment or the studio apartment that costs $1,500 a month. And there's ways to do it outside of the way I did it, which is finding 3 strangers on Facebook and then getting a house together. Like there's actual legitimate apps and websites where you can find other roommates in a legitimate way. Even some websites where you can actually find a house that's already being rented out by the room, where all you have to do is sign your lease for your room in that house, and that's all you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about your roommates. You don't have to worry about them paying the rent or skipping out on the rent. It's all just individualized. You could get it furnished, you could get it unfurnished. You could have access to a kitchen and a roof over your head and floors under your feet for a lot cheaper than the crazy rent at these crazy apartments. And although I know it's way more comfortable to be your own place in your own space and your own dishes in the sink, I promise you, I thank myself so much for the thousands and thousands of dollars that I saved and don't have to worry about paying back because I chose to sacrifice a little bit of my comfort for a whole lot of money. And if I'm being completely honest, when it comes to nursing school, I was barely in my room anyways. For most of my time, I was usually at school, at clinical, or at a study group anyways. And really the only time I was even home was just to sleep. And if I wasn't sleeping, my door was shut and I was just in my room studying anyways. So it really didn't even matter too much that I had roommates. But anyways, if you're inside of a similar situation and you're trying to figure out your living plans for school, definitely try to take some of this into consideration. Try to figure out as many ways as you can to save, create a budget, stick to it, and good luck. But anyways, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. And if you'd like to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.